Доброго дня, шановні наші.
Good afternoon, dear guests and dear speakers and people who watch us online. Ukraine Crisis Media Center starts its working day, and the first event for today is the roundtable, Euromap 3 rating of European integration of Ukrainian oblasts. And I give the floor to the moderator of the event. On behalf of the New Europe Center, I would like to greet you all at today's presentation. This is presentation of Europe map. This is for the third year in a row. The New Europe Center develops this rating in accordance with its methodology. This is methodology. This is a rating of oblasts. The rating of European integration of all oblasts of Ukraine. For us, this is a very important research because the New Europe Center, in accordance with our strategies and priorities, we have 3D approach in the context of European integration. We work a lot with the decision makers in Kiev. We are working in the regions, and we are working in the key countries of the European Union, and we have this 3D approach that allows us to create a comprehensive picture about what is going on in relationship between Ukraine and the European Union and how European values are implemented and standards and practices are implemented in Ukraine. Regions are really important for us. They are especially important because we clearly understand, and we repeat 3 years in a row, that it's not Kiev that is moving to EU. This is the whole Ukraine, and we should understand what is going on in the oblasts, how we are moving, what the obstacles are, also what achievements are, what is positive dynamic, and also some regresses that are ongoing and why they happen. We all have it in our research, and we thank you. We thank the Vice Premier Olga Stefanishyna for partnership in this initiative and for the support. We thank Swedish Embassy and the Renaissance Foundation. Previously, we had support of Engage, Pact, USAID, and we would like to thank all the partners who organize this initiative and support this initiative. And I would like to give the floor to the moderator and also to have this brief presentation of the results of research. And then there will be welcoming word from Vice Premier, and we will have discussion later on. Good afternoon. Alona Getmanchuk, the director of the New Europe Center, was given the floor. And now I am Sergei Solodky, first deputy director of the New Europe Center. We are glad to welcome Donetsk and Kyrgyzstan administration representatives. And I would like to present shortly the key conclusions. Why shortly? Because this research is big, and each region may find some additional revelations. And I call on journalists, analysts, and officials to study this publication in more detail and pay attention not only to the tips of the iceberg I pay attention to. First, I would like to speak about the leaders. Please put the presentation and infographics on the screen with key indicators. First place, Ilza Lvivshchina. This is our traditional leader, and it remains on the leader position. Next is Kiev. Third place, Vinnytsia. Fourth place, Kharkiv region, and fifth, Ivano-Frankivshchina. We greet our top 5 of winners. And the new conclusions, Kiev raised to the next level due to better position in sectoral rating concerning economic integration. Vinnytsia is for the third time among the leaders. Unfortunately, Luganshina is lagging behind. And this is interesting because we see that Donbas is not homogeneous. Donetsk Oblast has leadership positions in many rankings, and Luganshina, they have bigger problems, and we should analyze this. Why we have such a situation? So this is not maybe the case is not maybe in geography, but maybe in some other things. What conclusions we can make? We come to conclusion that the European integration, it doesn't have the common plane, so they have different indicators in different areas, and we need to level up these indicators in all oblasts, and we should learn from one another, and in such a way this European map that pays attention to these disproportions, it may provide consolidation effect for European integration, to promote this integration in all the regions. Many indicators in many areas, they decreased. As we understand, this happens not because of lack of effort concerning reforms and European integration, but most of all due to quarantine, due to pandemic, and these are global processes. We cannot blame regions for this, or the central government. And there was fall in indicators of trade turnover, decreased with the European Union, and there was some EU investment, and we had other investment. Usually this was investment from post-Soviet countries that came through Cyprus. And this downturn happened, and this was about 40%. So Ukraine is in the global trend. In 20 oblasts of Ukraine, there was a fall of investment indicator. Only in 5 regions there was an increase. Kirovohradzhina enters this 5, and they have increase in investment from the European Union. And also we know that Great Britain exited the European Union, and British investment was rather high previously in some oblasts. That's why this indicator decreased in in Ukraine, in some oblasts. Also, step by step, oblasts bring better results in scientific and educational cooperation with the educational institutions in the framework of some projects of EU. And Ukraine is engaged in Erasmus project, and the majority of universities, step by step, involved in participation of the projects of the European Union. So 172 universities participated previously in such projects. This year we have 96 universities that participate in such programs. Also, we analyzed gender issues, indicators of gender equality in oblasts, and women are 1/3 in oblast councils. And after local elections in October 2020, we have increase 40%, and in oblast centers 1/3 was the increase in the number of women, and only 2 women had oblast administrations. And previously we had 4 women at such top positions. Now we have 2, so there is decrease, and we would like that our top officials did something about this negative trend. And the oblast administrations, they have 70% of women in their staff. And there should be proper selection. And we greet the representative of Kirovohrad, who attends our event. And I would like now to give the floor to Olga Stefanishina. And I would like to thank her for support of this project, for initiation of this project. And we really see.
Passing by the mic, I would like to mention that this is the second year in a row when we have been doing this presentation with the same Vice Prime Minister, and I believe that this is a sign of stability in this country. Thank you, Alona. I would like to mention that the government has no intention to cut the number of women in the ruling positions and key positions. Now let's come closer to the discussion about Euromap. I believe that Euromap is a big work carried out not only by us, but in close cooperation with the New Europe Center. And I believe that each year makes this Euromap closer and closer product of closer and closer cooperation with the regions of Ukraine. More and more regional state administrations are involved into this process, and they reveal many aspects which they neglected in the past, and now they can focus on them. And we all understand that leadership is important, and looking at the ratings, looking at the leaders in these ratings, we can learn good lessons. About Luhansk region, for example, you mentioned that there are some omissions, some failures in this region, and during my next trip to this region, I will focus more on those areas. Also, you mentioned about some worsening of ratings, and you mentioned the reasons to that, but I believe that pandemic, the global pandemic, also contributed to that, but gradually we are reviving from it. We're improving our vaccination rollout, we're improving our reviving our communications, and I believe that the situation both in society and economy will gradually improve. I would like to point out to the fact that the Euro integration aspect had become recently the focal point in this country. Some days ago, we had this presentation about implementation of the association agreement, and we found out that Ukraine actually had implemented many commitments made in that agreement. For example, we had passed during the last year many laws which brought us forward in this area. that is, last year we had approved the law about water water sources management. Then we hope that in future we will pass the waste management law, and this was move us forward closer to the EU. When we discuss in this context the Dniester strategy and Danube strategy, we all understand that all those projects, they contain a huge social component, and their implementation will move us closer to the European aspirations. And by the way, that project had become a good area for cooperation of several regions together and discussing the trans-border cooperation, Euro integration. We all understand that the regions more and more understand the challenges and advantages which and possibilities which they have. The new draft laws were drafted based on the previous research of Euromap and based on the experiences of our governmental offices in the regions, and it will produce a new document which sets the tasks for our agency in the regions about cultural cooperation with Europe, about promotion of investment, support of cultural communications between countries, then promotion of Ukrainian products in the foreign markets, neighboring countries, etc. So actually, this is the major aspects of that document which we are now preparing for the Parliament. Also, based on the Euromap, we develop the strategies for the regions, that is the Donetsk region, Odessa, the Carpathia, Transcarpathia region, and some other regions, decided to participate in the Danube strategy, and the government decided to involve 5 more regions to the Danube strategy. And now we are discussing how to involve several Ukrainian regions to the EU strategy for the Baltic Sea. I believe that there's a regional regional EU projects which allow neighboring countries to participate. We will get involved into the green course, a European green course. Yesterday I had a consultations with the EBRD, and we negotiated that the oblast state administrations would set priorities at the horizontal level, and because the central government has a possibility to contribute only 17% into the out of what is needed into the development of the region. That's why they have to prioritize their objectives and apply for additional funding. That's why I'm very grateful to you for your work, and I encourage you to extend it because it is very positive work for us. Thank you for your attention. Now let us start our panel discussion devoted to the Euromap, and later on and now we will give the floor to Ms. Katja Salzbeck, Deputy Head of the Embassy of Sweden in Ukraine. And I'd like to use this opportunity to thank the Swiss Embassy for this initiative, for the support of this initiative. Due to your support and support of the Renaissance Foundation, and also to the Engage Pact, which was represented here by Mr. Kovac, it became possible. I mean, European Map 3. Ms. Salzbeck, we are very grateful for your support to the central decentralization reform. We believe that promotion of the not only decentralization but also more regional engagement to the Euro integration is very important. Now the floor is yours.
Dear Deputy Prime Minister, fellow panelists and guests in the audience, I'm very, very happy to join you on this beautiful sunny morning. I think it's quite symbolic that we meet on the Europeiska Plощad to listen to this presentation, and I'm glad to be opening the panel discussion. First, though, I would like to really sincerely congratulate Aliona and Sergei and the whole New Europe Center team for having, for the third time, completed this important research. It's really impressive, and as we have heard from the Deputy Prime Minister, it is clear that it is used in policy making. So I consider it really to be an important building block in Ukraine's European efforts. This project also reflects what we in Sweden very much cherish in Ukraine. Sweden wholeheartedly supports Ukraine's European aspirations, but as was already mentioned, we are also working actively in support of decentralization efforts and local government. And for us, these two things are closely interlinked. We, of course, welcome the strong determination of Ukraine's leadership to advance European approximation. And I think that with the recent EU-Ukraine summit, we see that we are moving forward in this process. But to be successful, European integration cannot be something only for the authorities in Kiev. This objective has to be shared by the local level. Approximation with the EU has to be well understood by regional and local government. And citizens all over Ukraine has to be aware of the tangible benefits of EU alignments, or put simply, how this process improves their quality of life. Only with strong local ownership of European values and approaches, whether related to trade, environment, equal rights or education, can we gather the momentum and support required for successful EU rapprochement. I want to stress that this is valid not only in the Ukrainian context, it is also true in EU member states. The EU cannot and should not be an elite project. It is a democratic enterprise that requires the support of citizens. And this support, in turn, relies on government and people locally being engaged and aware of the benefit of European approaches and European membership. The Euromap survey is incredibly helpful for Ukraine in this regard, as it measures the depth of European integration in various regions. It helps identify gaps we need to bridge for Ukraine to advance even further. As we have already seen, this project demonstrates how effectively the expert community, through its research, can contribute to an enhanced policy process. This is great to see, and this is precisely the aim of Swedish support to the New Europe Centre. The entire Euromap project, from gathering evidence, analyzing data, and where we are today discussing the results, is a wonderful example of how the expert community, civil society, and Ukrainian authorities on all levels of government can join forces for the sake of a common goal: Ukraine advancing on the path of European integration. So once again, congratulations on a very successful project, and I look forward to the panel discussion.
Дуже дякую за вітальні ремарки і за
Thank you very much for your welcoming and cheering words. And now I would like to give the floor to Mr. Roland Kovac, who is the head of the program supporting civic activities get involved. And I would like to thank Mr. Kovac, with whom we attended many cities and towns in Ukraine, promoting European integration. And I'm happy that he and his colleagues remain our reliable partner. And in the nearest future, we plan to have a series of discussions of the Euromap in the regions. Mr. Kovac, what is your assessment and evaluation of the Euromap 3, whether you have seen something good in it?
Guests, viewers, I also would like to start by congratulating, of course, the New Europe Centre, the entire team, for the 3rd edition of the Euromap publication, research, and all that comes with it. And I'd like to talk just a little bit about what it means to me, what it means for the program Doluchaisa, to work with the New Europe Centre on this important project, but also to work with the New Europe Centre in an institutional collaboration. First, why I think our institutional collaboration is meaningful, and it means definitely a lot to us. Our expressed goal is to increase citizen awareness of and engagement in the important reforms that are happening in Ukraine. I have to also underline that these reforms did not start with the Euromaidan revolution, but it has been an arc for the past 30 years or so for Ukraine, with ups and downs. But here we are in 2021, and we're truly discussing capital E and capital U for Ukraine, which is a huge achievement over these decades. Our institutional relationship, we believe, helps what we'd like to call self-reliance or self-sustainability. And it's true for the New Europe Centre, I hope, but testified by the 3rd edition already of the publication. I believe it's a good signal towards what we think the New Europe Centre is capable and able to do year by year now, is to lead, amongst others, Ukraine's European aspiration from the side of the non-governmental sector. New Europe Centre is one of the key champions of Ukraine's European aspirations and European integration efforts. But it also helps, I believe, by discoursing with the government, by engaging citizens on the local level, which is the natural follow-on to every publication that we're discussing in these nice circumstances, is to talk to citizens on the ground about the findings. These help Ukraine as a whole and regions individually to think through what it takes for them to achieve that European dream. As we see from the results of the publication and from past years' results as well, and I took a couple of notes of your highlights to underline this, Ukraine is an extremely diverse country. And this diversity is its strength. It's diversity that strengthens the unity of the country, I believe. And seeing that amongst some of the categories, leaders are not even amongst the top 5 leaders of the overall ranking of the Euromap, underlines to me that this diversity of the country is what one needs to celebrate. It's very close to my heart and to our program to see Sumy region, for example, in the leaders of a very important area, energy approximation. It's extremely heartwarming to see gender inclusion leader, not too far from Kyiv, but not in Kyiv. And as we heard from our previous comments, gender is an issue in the labor force. Gender is an issue at home, and gender inclusion is an issue in and of itself for the government. This diversity is what, to me, the Euromap of Ukraine underlines. But it underlines only because who the messenger is and what sort of intellectual work and legwork goes into every year in this publication. This, to me, gives the credibility. And not just to me, as we hear from our panelists as well, this sort of credibility, this believability of the results stimulates discourse, stimulates discussion, perhaps some healthy competition amongst regions, but also, as we also see from the results, it strengthens cooperation and collaboration amongst regions and leaves a lot of room for learning from each other. And I would just underline again that there's probably a lot to learn what's going on in Chernihiv region, why they so much forward in gender inclusion. Most importantly, these publications, these results, these findings stimulate 2 things which are crucial for moving forward for a democratic Ukraine. One side of the thing we've heard already several times, that it does stimulate government action at various levels of government. And that's indeed what civil society aims to achieve by engaging citizens. But the other, and I think perhaps even more important part of things, is that it provides food for thought for citizens. And I know New Europe Center colleagues are touring the country once the publication is out, and discussing its findings, not just with the expert community, not just with the local and regional government colleagues, but with citizens, with students, with various groups of citizens, to gauge what it means for them, what these results mean for them, and what sort of action, what sort of engagement it inspires in them. And yes, we can see this year's results in many ways a lag behind last or previous years, but we all know that there is a major reason for that, and it's not really unique or specific to Ukraine. If we would look at the European integration of even European member states these days, we would see kind of a blip in the trajectory. But it is, I think, a crucial thing that citizens have the right and ability and can dwell deep inside the results of the research. Lastly, what I think citizens really could take home, at least at face value first, and perhaps also this is to induce some discussion in the panel discussion, and that is that I think it is not only or exclusively, or not even primarily, I think, the ranking that matters. And I say this from decades of work on several publications that provided all kinds of numerical rankings on democracies, civil liberties, freedoms, etc. And I know from those conversations is that the numbers mean one thing. What the substance, though, is under the numbers is what really stimulates the discussion, what really matters for people. So much so that it's a very, very recent sociology I came across when people were asked, young Ukrainians were asked about what they feel regarding European integration. And almost overwhelmingly, the responses is that they don't see Ukraine's progress and development only or exclusively through the lenses of European integration. For them, Ukraine in and of itself is important, whether it's with or inside the EU or not. They want to see a developed, democratic country. And these results that the EU map actually shows to me is how much on the sub-national level in each regions, these bread and butter issues of what we call EU integration really progress in each different regions. It is those categories that we saw on the left side of the screen, I think that really inspires people to put more effort, more energy, more engagement into their smallest localities to the larger oblasts and as well the entire country. Rankings may cause some turbulences, but often what one would find is in the text and in those extremely attractive and informative visuals that you will find in the publication. So I would like to thank you once more. Thanks, of course, for your additional supporters, and I will look forward to hear these discussions happening all around the country.
Власне, зараз хотів би надати слово нашим представникам.
Now I would like to give the floor to the regional representatives from Donetsk and Kirovohrad regions. But before doing that, I would like to give the floor to Ms. Stefanishina, who will need to leave early, and she will say a couple of words.
This is really important for me, but I need to leave, and our joint work does not end with this presentation. We will continue. I would like to thank heads of oblast administrations, Maria Chorna and Pavlo Kirilenko. For me, they are real leaders, and I believe that for each of us, this presentation is really important. These are our plans of development of the regions, of oblasts, and we started with Odessa, Poltava, Khmelnytsk oblasts. These oblasts, they feel something new, some new opportunities, and we are grateful to you for joining us. You are new leaders, and we wish you good discussion, fruitful discussion. And I will visit your regions. I promised to go to Kirovohrad, and I promised this to deputies. And in Donbas, we go frequently to Donbas, as you know. And I wish you to have a fruitful discussion. Now I give the floor to Pavlo Kirilenko, head of Donetsk Regional State Administration. And some indicators. They have leadership in economic integration and export of goods, third place, share of goods concerning high technology, first place, concerning European Investment Bank in the EBRD, first place modernization of infrastructure supported by the state fund, and also environmental and energy efficiency projects supported by the European Union. I won't mention all positive trends of Donetsk, but we have a lot of them. That's why we invited representatives of Donetsk. They show a good example, and they dismantle these myths that only Western regions are in the process of the European integration. And please tell us about your achievements. How did you reach these indicators? Thank you. Please, you are given the floor. We cannot hear him.
Пане Кириленко, один момент, будь ласка, почекайте трошки.
Mr. Kirilenko, please, we should do something with the sound first.
Спробуйте ще раз.
Try again, please. Good afternoon. Can you hear me? Yes, we can hear you. Good afternoon. First of all, I would like to thank the New Europe Center for inviting us, for giving this opportunity to share our experience and to tell about those results we've reached and we would like to speak about those achievements that we had since 2014 when Russian aggression started. Despite the situation and the shock we had at that time in 2014, and the situation was really difficult in all areas of economy, infrastructure of our oblast. We needed to consolidate our efforts, and step by step we moved to those achievements that we had before 2014, and I would like to address to our audience and to speakers, to moderator. I would like to say that those leadership positions that were chosen, they confirm consolidation of efforts and step-by-step movement and the good support of our international partners, all international organizations that helped Donetsk Oblast. They successfully implement a big number of projects. 50 international organizations help us. It would take a lot of time to present all the information we have about this cooperation, but I would like to bring one new example of cooperation with our international partners: the implementation of programs of the state level, the program of the President of Ukraine that is called Big Construction, and we involved the funds of international partners of Lithuanian Republic. In this case, this is about reconstruction and capital repairs of big school at the frontline area in Avdiivka. And on the 1st of September, the school opened its doors. And this is a new school, and they opened their doors this year. This project was implemented due to the fund of the state and oblast budget and with the support of our Lithuanian friends who provided 700,000 euros for buying multimedia equipment for quality education. in order that our children have better education, and Avdiivka is placed near the front line, and the school is at the front line area. This is information for those who were not in this area. This Avdiivka town is 7 kilometers from occupied Donetsk. So this is just a very small distance at the line of contact. But we continue to implement projects there due to our international partners from Lithuania, and we will continue close cooperation with them for implementing such projects. Answering this question, I would like to say that we have really good results due to our common efforts of Obel administration, the whole staff, and full understanding and openness, and good relations with our international partners despite all the difficulties, and the ability to see the problem in a real sense and to show the problems that we face, and we should be realistic. We should understand that there are problems that need a lot of time to be resolved. Why I say so? Because in July 2019, I was appointed to the position, and this school, it was destroyed partly by shelling in the course of military actions, and the school building, it was built in 1970s in Soviet times, and we faced this problem, and we have seen that we have a lot of tasks. We studied the experience of previous officials, and we communicated and outlined the timeline first, how to do this. First, they wanted to do it in a shorter term, but then we believe that we should be open about these things. We should be ready for cooperation, and we've reached this result, and we have a lot of results like this in different projects. And today we're going to present investment portal in our oblast. This will be an event where we will provide information that we as oblast, we should not be associated only with metallurgy and heavy industry, but we should also be associated with small and medium-sized business as well. So the result is our joint work. The result is openness and the wish to get these results with common effort, with distribution of functions, and there should be discipline in implementation of these tasks. So once again, I would like to thank for inviting me to this event and for this opportunity to express my views. I wish everyone to reach their results in the regions they had, and I wish this to the heads of the Oblast administration, and I wish our foreign colleagues, international partners, to have fruitful cooperation in relations with Ukraine and Ukrainian colleagues. And we wish good results in every oblast. And we will have these results, and this will be good for the development of modern technologies and for flourishing of our Ukraine. I wish success to everyone, and the colleagues from Lithuania, they shot the video of school opening, and you may watch this video presented by our Lithuanian colleagues. And there we had officials, representatives of civil and military administration, and I propose to watch this video. We thank Pavlo Kirilenko. I would like to say that next month we will organize the visit of French officials to Donetchina, and we hope that we will be able to meet, and we will provide information about Donetchina on site to our international colleagues. And we got also this present from Donetsk Oblast. This is short video concerning European integration, and we will show this video at the end of our discussion. Thank you very much for providing this information about what Donetchina is doing. And I would like to give the floor to head of Kirovograd Regional State Administration, Maria Churna. And I was pleasantly surprised last year when we analyzed economic progress of Kirovogradchina. The oblast demonstrated the increase in trade with the European Union. Maybe this was a start from low position, but some people may say it's not so big compared with other leaders of trade with the European Union. But I understand that for those who grow, especially from low positions, this is hard to do. It's harder. And for us, these are interesting examples. And we would like to motivate other regions, those who were outsiders and who make efforts, and they demonstrate some progress and increase of indicators. And
I would like to say that the Kirovohrad region entered those three regions which showed some growth. It occupied first position in the growth of import of goods, export of goods to the EU. How could you manage to reach this progress, and whether it was by chance or this was a result of purposeful work? And also, I would like to mention now the Euro successes research we will soon present in the regions. And while Euromap shows the examples and the extent of the European integration, then the Euro successes would show the best practices. I believe that Kirovohrad region had shown many successes, and that's this is the right moment to present how you managed to reach this progress. Happy to see you here today, and welcome you in Kirovohrad region. And I believe that European integration had become one of the top priorities, and our Oblast State Administration is focused on dissemination of information on a presentation of what does it mean to become European. And in this work, we may rely on the local pedagogical institute, on the local public library, and on the regional centers for Euro integration. We also cooperate with the several Euro delegation in Ukraine projects like EULEAD project, the EU Initiative for Economic Growth, and we are very grateful to the European partners for the support of Ukrainian reforms for the energy reform, for the reform of the civilian sector, and in the past 18 months, when the pandemic lockdowns had been imposed all around the globe, we managed to maintain communication and continue our cooperation with all the partners, and the share of European partners in the trade turnover of our region continues to grow. We enlarge the export of our food products to the European countries, and it had reached 75% of our trade, and actually we are agricultural region, and we are happy to contribute to the food supplies to Europe. Also, we are big exporter of chemical products, wood products and timbers, and some industrial commodities. Last year we witnessed slight growth of FDI to the economy of the region. Last year it had grown almost 18% and reached $175 million of the United States. These were investments to the industrial enterprises, retail and wholesale trade, and some transport enterprises, and we hope that we would preserve this trend because we have developed several ambitious plans. One of the most successful projects, which I would like to mention, this was the unique gas processing plant for transformation of biomass into energy fuels that was implemented with the support of EBRD. This is the first experience of using agricultural waste into energy fuels, into energy sources. Also, we recently launched the new asphalt plant equipped with the state-of-the-art Italian equipment, and it allows to decrease emissions to the environment up to 80%. Also, I would like to mention one agrarian project is goat farm, which breeds goats, and this is commercial production, environmentally friendly, which became very popular now. And We eagerly cooperate with the other countries, and we see quite a big potential for this. And we are very grateful for all your support, all support of our partners, and we would like to show our hospitality to you here in Kirovohrad region, and we are waiting for you anytime. We believe that European Union remains our reliable partner, and it sets good practices, good standards for us to follow, and we are eager to develop and grow in this direction, and to look for new partners all around the world, and especially in the Soviet Union. Thank you, Maria. Now let us start our Q&A session. I would like to encourage you to ask questions. I saw a raised hand of Professor Garan. Alexei Garan, Democratic Initiatives Fund. First, I would like to appreciate and cheer you and thank for this excellent product, which will be very convenient for my students with all that good visualization. Also, I'm very thankful to the donors who support the think tanks working in this area. I believe that this is very good partnership which encourages us to work further. As for the disputable issues, Ms. Salzberg mentioned about decentralization. At the same time, decentralization in conditions of insufficient democracy may result in the strengthening of local barons, so to say. I teach my students the subject of political science, and I know from my experience that some processes at the local level, they are noticeable, like in Odessa region and Transcaucasia region, while when it comes to Kharkiv region, our conclusions do not coincide. I believe that in this room we do not have political technologies from Mr. Terehov who would support his this candidate in the elections. But you mentioned the leaders in democracy were also Mariupol and Kharkiv among the first five. But we, if you look at the real life, we clearly would see that the local politics in Kharkiv is closely controlled by the Kernes bloc, so to say, while in Mariupol this is closely controlled by the Akhmetov's bloc. And those processes which exist there, and they impose a lot of risks and dangers. And the last comment I would like to extend more about the regional congress of the local authorities, but who is chairman of the main body of this Congress? It was the head of the presidential office in Ukraine. Sorry for this long comment, but I wanted to contribute to the discussion. I fully agree with your comments. I believe that Euromap is one of the aspects of the Euro integration assessment. It is more quantitative analysis. The quality analysis is provided in our other projects, and we have a separate brief about Kharkiv, policy brief about Kharkiv, about Mariupol, where we discuss the situation with democracy in those regions in many details. Of course, this is not the situation with which we would like to work in those regions, but the experience of many European embassies and our experience suggests that it is better to work and to maintain dialogue with what you have and to follow the progress. This does not mean that the experts and European embassies, they have illusions about the level of democracy in those regions, but nevertheless we have to recognize successful trends, even if those governments, local governments, are not very democratic. I like your answer. I thank you for it. I meant that the ratings which you suggested, that how those conclusions will be used in mass media. They can manipulate. Of course, we can do nothing with those journalists who will try to distort the meaning of our products, the content of our products. That's why I encourage journalists to use our other products. Sergei Sidorenko, the European Европейская Правда publication. I will try to manipulate with your content immediately. Of course, I congratulate you with this product, but I do not see the set of indicators which would allow me to judge about the strengths of local authorities. For example, your indicators about roads, about airports, about railroads in each region, because all those are aspects which cannot be influenced and could not be improved at the local level. Question to you, did you try to bring together those indicators which depend on the central authorities? In gender issues, some indicators are relevant when you deal with the number of women who chair the local state administrations, but I do not think that they are relevant in the area which is related to wages, etc., because heads of local state administrations cannot influence that. Our objective was to measure the situation with the European integration. That's why we have this mixture of indicators. Some of them depend on the power of or fall within the responsibility of the head of local state administration. Some of them are fall beyond the powers of local state administrations, but they simply measure the approximation to the European Union. Of course, there are many things about which you can say that it is independent from us, especially when we mean roads like national highways, for example. But when chairpersons of local state administrations start to lobby some issue, like, for example, bad road within some region, and start public discussions, both at the central level in mass media, then in this case, we obviously would see the results of his or her work in a year or two. Of course, we understand there is a weakness of our methodology, and we measure the situation with the European integration, but not the level of efforts contributed into it. But nevertheless, there are analytical products about the work of local state administrations and heads of local state administrations. And this is reflected in the Eurosuccess project and products of our center. Very soon you will see these deliverables from this Eurosuccess project, and it will show what was omitted in the Euromap. This is a rating of European integration of oblasts, but not the local state administration. That is, we did not assess the local regional authorities against the level of their commitment to Euro integration. We simply assessed the picture in the regions, not the picture of the oblast state administrations. We understand this is a challenge. Between ourselves, quite often we have discussions. What was the success of the central level, and depended on the successes of the central level, what was the individual success of the local state administration. We all understand that much depends on what I hate to say and hate to call, but much depends on the political will from the center. And this was clearly demonstrated by the infrastructural projects and successes of infrastructural projects, which are part of the personal agenda of the president of Ukraine, and perhaps this is even the campaigning element, pre-election campaigning element of his personal agenda. I cannot definitely say how much was contributed by local authorities, how much was contributed by central authorities to the success, overall success of each region. We disseminated those indicators among many experts for peer review, and if you feel that you can improve our methodology, we encourage you to write to us. Of course, this is a unique product which never existed in other countries. And by the way, some of them now are disseminated in the European neighborhood countries, and actually, perhaps we need something to measure the European engagement of local authorities. By the way, the Euromap is about Euro integration, and it does not measure the level of Euro integration aspirations of local authorities exclusively. The central government should be involved too, and local authorities are now more familiar with the Euromap. They can use it as an instrument, and gradually it becomes more and more the communicational and awareness instrument for local authorities. I believe that with your feedback, with the feedback from local authorities, we will move forward. We are we have almost exhausted our time. Sergei diplomatically mentioned that we are reaching successes in communication, but I should say openly that during the first 2 years we faced some resentment of local state administrations in delivery of data. They were not very eager to share with us with their data. And some heads of local state administrations still do not feel that Euro integration is the state course which is registered in the Constitution of Ukraine. Of course, the agenda of which president may slightly change, but in 2019, when the president of Ukraine, new president of Ukraine was elected, the European course of Ukraine remained unchanged. And I believe that the result of the new fair and democratic elections and after the new elections, the same European course will remain in place. It seems to me that in some regions of Ukraine, this is not understood quite well. They still think that there might be some backlash in that course. They have doubts that this course would preserve, and we have to explain to them that this is the new national course which will remain unchanged. And the last remark. Svetlana Shitikova. Thank you, dear colleagues, for the cooperation, for your service. This is important for the Ministry of the Youth and Sports. We always follow the projects which might be initiated by different regions and universities in those regions and try to respond to the challenges at the local level. Today, we actually discussed the responsibilities demonstrated by all the stakeholders. And in this context, I would like to congratulate you with the Responsibility Day in Ukraine. And I would like to mention the Declaration of Responsibility. And what we are doing today, this is actually implementation of that Declaration of Responsibility. We would suggest to include into your survey the non-formal education. I believe that this might be an interesting aspect to be assessed in the regions. And I encourage you to include some questions into your survey about youth and sports development in the regions. Thank you for your discussion, for your recommendation. Thank you for your contribution to our survey. You've been our reliable partner for several years in a row. Thank you. Dear colleagues, thank you for participation in today's discussion. And at the end, we would like to show you a short video about a school which was revived in Avdiivka, rebuilt and revived in Avdiivka after Shalin. Thank you.
У 2019 metais, kai sužinojom, kad reikia imtis šito projekto ir imtis atstatinėti mokyklą Avdiivkoje, pirmą kartą nuvykom ten. Ir toks niūrokas ten vaizdas buvo. Viskas apšaudyta, griuvėsiai ten, galima sakyti. Langai išdaužyti ir atrodė, kad bus sunku tikrai kažką tam padaryti. Jau vien tas atstumas, kurį važiuoja ir fiziškai jauti, kad toli važiuoja nuo sostinės į kitą pasaulį šiek tiek. Tada ir pajunti, kad iššūkių бус.
І вона важлива як на більш високому рівні, знаєте, міждержавному, а також вона більш суттєва і відчувається тут на місці, саме в малому прифронтовому місті Авдіївка, де, буквально вчора були обстріли, ми це чули.
In this place in Avdiivka, which is not far from the contact line, you can hear the sound of shellings just like it was yesterday. And it is very important to demonstrate this support to Avdiivka visually. And this school, which was rebuilt, which was well equipped for the small children, this is a huge inspiration. This was an older school which was considerably damaged during shellings and with very bad lavatories and etc. We cannot even compare what was done. Now we see very bright premises full of light, and you immediately feel that you are cheered very much. Of course, building up this school is very important because it raises the morals of people in Donetsk region. This is very important for all the residents here. never we had such a school in Avdiivka before the war, before the battles in 2014, and now we can have this. When I entered this classroom for the first time, I was very much impressed with these desks, with the color of the walls. Our previous classroom was bigger, but it was dull, it was dark, while here in this school we have bright interiors where we can play, etc. Unfortunately, we do not see the subtitles. For us, opening of this school is a huge event. This is a bright demonstration how Lithuanian state contributed to the development of Ukraine. Of course, the Ukrainian choice of European integration was not easy. It was a tough choice, and now we see how we are supported.